And so I want to begin this honest conversation with one word. Hey, tell me, how would you pronounce this word? How would you pronounce it? How many of you, raise your hand, how many of you said content? Content. How many of you said content? It's the same word with two very different definitions. It actually comes from the Latin term, which means to be satisfied or to be gratified. But somewhere along the line, we believed and actually used the language that we would be content if we had the right content. And that's okay if your content is your relationships or your character, but it's not. And we can prove it by just looking at our purchasing patterns. Our contentment is in the content we're trying to add to our lives, and it is never going to provide the contentment that we desire. I'm going to make a statement. Again, you may not agree with this, but it's a biblical statement. Greed is idolatry. Can I prove it? Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. I'm just reading the Bible. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature. Sexual immorality, oh, that's bad. Yeah, get rid of that. Impurity, yeah, that's bad. Get rid of that. Lust, gotta go. Evil desire, gone. And greed, which is idolatry. It's a quote from the Apostle Paul. Now, you might say, well, I'm not greedy. I don't want a mansion. I don't want $1 million. I just want a little more. Just a little more. Can I define the Greek word for you? Here it is, the Greek word, wanting more, ishnes. And the problem with wanting more, ishnes, is you can never get there. What do you want? I got a car, but I just want a little faster car. Okay, now that you have a little faster car, what is it that you want? A little faster car. I just want a little raise. I don't want $1 million, just a little bit more. You know what a millionaire wants? Just a little bit more. You know what a poor person wants? Just a little bit more. You know what the middle class wants? Just a little bit more. But when more is what you're after, as soon as you get more, you want more. And there's no jumping off place for this cycle of consumption. Let me just show it to you in a practical way. If you look at the size of homes in the United States, going back to the 1950s, the average size of a home was 983 square feet. You do the math. Just go measure tonight your garage, your two-car garage, averages 720 square feet. I was stunned when I went to Hollywood and we're looking at the rich people's homes. We got to Lucille Ball's home in the 1950s. It was about 1,200 square feet, I think. I mean, it's a small home. It's the size of the home I lived in. I never knew I was that rich. Fast forward 20 years, 1970. We almost doubled the size of our homes. Fast forward 20 more years, add another 500 square feet. Fast forward another 20 years, we add another 600 square feet. When will it end? Never, because greed never has an end game. It never reaches its goal of more. And if your desire is to get more, your goods will become your gods. Why are we so caught up in consumerism? I'll tell you why. There is an answer. Because we have made our contentment tied to our content. And our identity is in what we can purchase. And here's the problem with that. Greed, if you go beyond the basic need, like you have food, you have clothes, you have a house, once you purchase beyond that, almost every purchase beyond need is because of greed. And greed is driven by comparison. Like you would not have wanted a faster car if you didn't see your neighbor driving a faster car. You would not want a larger house if your brother-in-law did not buy a larger house. You would not have wanted the new iPhone 11 if you didn't see someone with an iPhone 11. Ask me how I know. You see what she's wearing and her purse and her boots. Oh, I want that. Why? You don't need it. It's out of greed, not need. And greed is driven by comparison. You know what comparison is driven by? Fear. Not the fear that I won't have enough, because we have enough. It's the fear that I won't be enough. So we want to be like those who we want to like us. So we see someone and what they're wearing, and so we go out and buy what they're wearing so we can be like them so that they will like us. We see what someone's driving and we go and get what they're driving so that we can be like them so that they will like us. They join a particular golf club, and so we join that golf club so that we can be like them so that they will like us. And it never works. And God, I think if He were here right now, He would have a word for you. Out of the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 5, keep your lives, this is so good, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have. Because, but don't you want to know what the because is? Why should we keep our lives free from the love of money? Here's the answer. It's a quote from the Old Testament. Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. Now, in the English, how many negatives are there? Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. How many negatives? 2. You know how many there are in the original text? This is unbelievable. 5. I don't know of anywhere else in Scripture where the authors put together 5 negatives. It's not God saying, I will never leave you nor forsake you. He's saying, I will never, not, no, niet, nunca leave you. And I wish you could hear what God is saying to you. If you're caught up in this consumption and consumerism, I wish you could hear that God would say to you, you're enough because I'm enough.